I'm at one mom in waiting. What that just means is, in order, the best chance for me to conceive, my doctor told me to use what's called donor eggs.
Mhm.
And so that's what I did. I went and I found a donor. I actually traveled across the country. I went to the state of Utah, found my donor,
Okay.
and found an amazing doctor out of there. I have gone through 4 transfers. 3 were successful and 1 failed. But out of the 3 that were successful, I had early miscarriages. So I am on the road for transfer number 5.
Okay.
Um, and so today we have on the panel, we have Lawanda.
Hi, everybody.
Now, she had, if you watched the promo, she was trying to conceive and found out that she had some issues. So, where do you want to start, Lawanda? Your fertility journey?
I guess we can start there. Um,
Okay.
so my fertility journey started in 2023. Yes, 2023. Um, I'm gonna just give you like a little backstory.
Yeah,
I was
that's what we
thinking about
want.
kids probably like a couple years ago, so I wasn't thinking about kids. I just had started taking having kids seriously in 2023.
Okay.
So as I was younger, I used to have like heavy cycles, but I never thought that it was anything because my entire life, like this was how my cycles went. Like I would
Right.
always have heavy bleeding. So 2023, me and my OBGYN, we sat down and, we had a real serious conversation. I was telling her like, hey, I think I'm ready, like to try to have kids. So we can try to follow the steps. And, we went through the process of all the questions. Have you ever had an abortion? Have you ever had a miscarriage? Have you ever carried a baby? And the answers was no to all of those.
Right.
So I had a procedure done that checked my fallopian tubes. In the midst of me checking my fallopian tubes, everything was okay with the tubes at that point that they had seen. So
Okay.
then we did another exam and we determined that I had fibroids. And I had fibroids, and it seemed like she said I had been carrying them almost most of my life.
Right.
So we went in. The first one was the size of a golf ball, like you could see it through my skin, but I never paid attention to it. But you can see
Right.
like the little hump that I had down by my uterus area. So she came back and she was like, well, you have fibroids, severe fibroids, and this is what's stopping the conceiving process. So, in order for us to try and to conceive, we would have to have a hysterectomy, myomectomy surgery. I
Right.
had surgery February of 2023. Yes. So from January to February, we scheduled the surgery. Went in. She removed everything that she thought that she had seen, all the fibroids that she had seen. Surgery was successful. So we came back in May that year, May. So I healed for the 6 weeks, and instantly she was like, you can start trying.
Start trying.
So I'm like, okay. So we tried, and we tried. And when we got to the end of May of 2023, she was like, well, we gotta, I may need to go back in. We took an x-ray, and that's when she noticed that I had another fibroid that she missed that was sitting in the middle of my cervix where the baby would grow. So we had to go back in November of 2023 and remove that fibroid from in the center. So from February to November of 2023, I had 2 myomectomy surgeries to remove all fibroids. So in November, I healed. I healed for the 6 weeks, and then started January of January of 2024. She was like, we've tried and we've tried. I think it's time for us to start looking at other options. So I was like, okay, well, I had never heard of IVF. I've never heard of it. I've never knew anything about it. So she came and she was like, I think that we should try to bypass using your tubes and just try IVF. So I'm like, okay. So she's like, I'm gonna refer you to a fertility specialist. I'm in Atlanta, by the way. So all of my specialists and my doctor was at Emory Midtown in Atlanta. So I go to the next floor, which is like the 14th floor. So I had a consultation and they started talking. And she's like, yeah, we can do IVF. IVF, sometimes it's successful. It's a 50-50 chance. And then we
Mm-hmm.
started talking about pricing. And I'm like,
Oh yeah.
who can pay for this? I'm like, who can pay for this? We're talking almost $30,000.
Yeah.
So she's like, yeah, some insurance. She's like, some insurance do cover it. You should check with your employer to see if your employer covers the fertility. So I was like, okay. So I went to work the next day and I'm like, going through my insurance and talking with a couple people, and comes to find out I work for the airline in Atlanta, Delta.
Delta.
Hmm.
Delta place for fraternity. Girl, you got the girl. You hit the jackpot. You got that good insurance. Didn't even know it. You had
Didn't even know.
progeny. You
Yes,
had progeny. Didn't even know it.
didn't even know it. Didn't even know it because, like I said, I've never heard of this, and this wasn't a thing to me. So I called Progeny, and she just started explaining everything, and she's like, "Yeah, we cover up to two cycles, and all of this is such a blur to me because I'm like cycles and all this. So I'm like, okay. So she's like, yeah, we cover up to two cycles. Um,
Uh
they actually cover storing your eggs. They covered
huh.
85 to 90% of the process was covered through Progeny. So I go back to my
Uh
fertility doctor, and she's like, oh, okay, well, we don't even have to discuss anything financially. So I'm
huh.
like, okay. So
Girl, you
she's like,
pay your
we just
deductible. That's
start
it.
the process. Yeah. So she's like, we just start the process, and that's it. So I'm like, okay. But even get this, even you don't even pay a deductible until you have a successful transfer. So even if you don't have a successful transfer the first time, you're not paying them anything until your transfer is complete. So that was a blessing too. So then we started like we had another consultation, me and my partner, and she was explaining to him and me, everything that was going to take place, everything that needed to be done. And I was like, okay. So I was like, okay, this maybe could work. But then I started doing my own research on IVF, and I just found out it was so many women. It was so many women that was going through the process. So I started like following and following up on different women and just following, their stories. Sometimes that can be a gift and a curse. I'm here to tell you,
Right.
because your nerves can be here, like, okay, what if this don't work? It ain't work for her. Why it may not work for me? And then
Right.
also, you can have a little bit of faith.
Right.
So went in, we started the process. I started taking the medication. Oh, I can't name everything I was taking, y'all. It was so
I can
much.
tell you, you probably was taking a little Gonal,
Yep, Ghana,
a little, a
Ghana,
little Menopur. You know what I'm
a little
saying? A little
Medicare.
Menopur,
Yeah,
a little
Ghana, Medicare.
Faustil.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. And so we ordered. She gave me this number. I got on the phone and I ordered all the medications. And then
Yeah.
I opened the door when the delivery guy came, and I opened the box and I'm like, this is
It's
a
a lot.
lot. Like, oh my
Yeah.
God. Like, you actually go through a lot. So
Yeah.
when I received the medication, we had a conversation over the phone and she told me everything and she told me how to take the medications. I was working, so I was working, taking hormone shots 2 times a day, not one, 2 times a
Okay.
day. So in the morning when I woke up, I would have to give myself a shot before I went to work. Then on my break at work, I would have to be in the bathroom giving myself a shot while I
Yep.
was in the bathroom at work. So it kind of got stressful. It kind of got a little stressful, like, like this is a lot. This is a lot for one person. But so I went in and then we had to stop. We had to stop because she found a cyst on my ovaries. From taking the medication, I had developed a cyst on my right side on one of my ovaries. So she was like, if we can't get this cyst down, then we're gonna have to stop and just start back all over again with the
Right.
cycle. So she kind of calmed down for a week. Calmed down for a week. We stopped the medication for a week. We came back. The cyst was gone. So we started back up the medication. My ovaries, I really didn't produce. I really didn't produce a lot of eggs. I may have produced like probably 19 on each side.
We have
But
got to
then
normalize that 19 is still a lot of eggs.
I know people who produce like 100.
No, you don't. No, you don't. If that's this overstimulation, there is not 100. No.
Hey, what am I saying?
No. No,
She just
19
produced,
is a lot. 19
but
is a
she's
lot of
down to
eggs.
6 now. So yeah, that is
So
a
you started off with 19 eggs, 19
no. So
follicles.
19 follicles on each side.
Okay,
So the
19
day of
follicles.
the
Okay,
transfer, she removed 14 eggs.
that's
So
still
she
good.
removed 14 eggs. Yes, she said that my right side, where the cyst was, it kind of gave her problems because I was supposed to have a fresh transfer, but the right side had kind of gave her problems. So she wanted me to heal completely on that side before we started. Before we even started the process of doing the transfer. So once once I healed, the number just kept getting smaller and smaller. So I'm like, okay, I
Mm,
went from 14 to 11. Then from 11, I went to 5. So we had a total of 5 good eggs. 5. So she was like, we set the date for 3 weeks later. We set the date for me to
five
have
eggs or five embryos?
5 embryos. I'm sorry, guys, 5 embryos.
Okay,
I had 5 embryos. That's how many I ended up with in the end.
right.
Um, so we did the so we implanted the egg. I was so nervous. I think that was probably one of the most anxious times of my life. my life. I took a pregnancy test the first day. I know they tell you not to.
Ma'am, it don't work on the first day.
No,
You're
I
giving
took
me
a
vibes because I do the same thing too. Because the way when I do my transfers, I go the next day and take it go. Oh, well, Lord, it didn't work. I'm like,
and that was me. Like the day of the transfer, I didn't move. I stayed on the couch. I stayed on. I ate. Listen, I had done so much research. I ate my McDonald's fries. I stayed on the couch. Like I didn't talk to anybody that whole day. It was just me and my partner. I didn't move. I was like, okay. And then the next day, I was like, okay, let me take a pregnancy test. I took the test. I
it was
came out of the
negative.
bathroom, and he was
It was
like, "What
negative.
happened?" I was like, "It was negative." He
As
was
it
like,
should have been.
he was like, why would you do that? She told us like 10 days. I'm like, I couldn't help it. It was negative up under my sink. Pregnancy tests were stacked to the ceiling. Like they were
Right.
stacked for every day. They were stacked for every day. He was like, no, we're not doing this. He was like, no, we're not doing this. We're not taking a test every day. We're not doing this. I'm like, okay. I'm like, okay.
Who,
So
who not taking the test every day? Because I am.
that's what I was thinking. But I was
Listen,
like, okay. Okay, I'm not taking the test every day. Okay, so I'm going to work. Everything's normal. I'm going to work. On the last day when my beta test was that Monday. So that Sunday it was Easter. I stayed at home. My family was like, "You're not coming over?" I was like, "No, I'm not coming over." I was Googling, like, okay, it feel like I'm coming on my cycle, like my stomach hurting. But I was feeling symptoms because I was so tired during those days. I had become extremely fatigued. So I'm like, I'm
well, the
tired.
meds too, and the meds too that you take,
And
the
I'm
meds you
already
take.
bloated because I'm
Right,
taking hormones. So
right,
I was so confused. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, So on that Sunday, I'm like, okay, I'm not going nowhere. I'm not talking to anybody. It's Easter. I'm just going to chill out. So I'm like, okay, I chilled. Went Monday, went Monday to get my blood drawn for the beta test. And me and my doctor made a deal. And she was like, if I'm on the other end of the phone when it rains and you pick up, it's good news. She was like, if Nurse Shashia is calling, then we're calling to figure out the next step.
right.
So I'm like, okay. I drove all the way home in silence. I'm like, oh my God. I'm just sitting in the car. I'm like, oh my God. I don't know what to do. So I came home. I laid on the couch. And I just keep checking the phone because I'm like, maybe the phone not, like, what's going on? Like, it never take them this long. Like, the phone hasn't
Right.
rung. What's going on? And then like 11:30. And mind you, it was it was April Fool's Day the next day in 2023 of last year. April Fool's Day came right after Easter. So it was April
Wow.
Fool's Day that on the first when I found out. So I picked up the phone and I said hello. And my doctor said, Lawanda, and I was like, you lie. I was like, you lying. I was like, you lying. She was like, it's Dr. And she was like, we're pregnant. I was like, oh my God. I just started screaming in the house, like, oh my God, like, we pregnant, we pregnant, we pregnant. And my child's father, he wasn't at home at the time. So I called him and I was like, what you doing? I was like, what you doing? And so he was like, at my daddy house. And I was like, we pregnant. And he was like, stop playing. And I was like, no, we're pregnant. And he was like, it's April Fool's Day. I know today, like, I know that ain't true. So I was like, okay.
Right.
I was like, well, come home then, and we'll take the test. So we got to the house, and I told you I had so many pregnancy tests stacked up on the scene. So I pulled one out, and I took it, and it said pregnant. Then I pulled another one out, and I took it, and it said pregnant. And I pulled one more out, and I took it, and it said pregnant. I'm like, dang, we having a baby, like we really pregnant. And so she had told me, like, if the numbers weren't going up, like, you
Right.
know, things could happen. So the second day we went to the doctor, the numbers had shot up. Like we were up. So I was like, okay. So we went through the whole process, and then I finally graduated from IVF fertility clinic, and I started to see my OBGYN. But before I get to that part, my partner, he had to be tested too to make sure that it was no issues with him either. So
Right.
he was good. His soldiers was marching. It was me when we came back to it before I left the IVF clinic. She had done another ultrasound down in my uterus where my fallopian tubes and everything was, and it turns out that one of my tubes, instead of it being a straight open pathway, it was curvy. So the sperm wasn't going straight through. It would bounce from wall to wall, and it never made down to where my eggs would fall.
Right.
So
Now I want to
that's
ask you something this too about your fibroids and stuff because I something that you said which I hear all too familiar is um they never know, people never know, because I feel like we just haven't been educated enough to know. We're educated to know that heavy cycles are just normal,
mm-hmm.
that you're conditioned to know that they're supposed to be heavy, they're supposed to be painful, they're supposed to be debilitating. Like all those things are supposed to be what we all know as a cycle.
Right.
Um, and then you find out later that no, those are not how your cycles are supposed to be. Especially if you're a woman of color, fibroids are very, very, very common. And I feel like, and you can let me know when you're telling your story, is you just going through the motions and not really knowing. You're just following what the doctor said, like, oh, you need to have the surgery. And then it's like a couple months later, she's like, oh, well, I missed one. Did you
Mm-hmm.
feel back, like looking back later, like I should have done way more research on your fibroids than you did initially?
Um, looking back, um, no. And I only
No.
say that because now I don't regret the surgery, because even now, like, things have been so smooth for me when it comes to me having a cycle. In like immediately right after I had fibroid surgery, I could tell the difference immediately.
Oh yeah,
Like the
you
next
can.
yeah, the next month that I had a cycle, I could instantly tell the difference. Like things were so different for me.
Oh yeah.
So I never what I will say is that I never experienced a doctor that even took the time to even talk to me about fibroids. So had
Right.
I never started my fertility journey, I would have never known, because I had heard of fibroids, but I had never done research on them,
Right.
until I was told, like, hey, like, you have fibroids. And I'm talking like not little fibroids, big.
Big, big, yeah.
Like they're big. And I understand why you have so much pain, every month. So
Right.
now I try to tell like my friends and my family members that are women, like, when they complain about their cycle, like, you could need to get tested to see like if there are fibroids there, because it's not a good feeling.
No.
It's
And
not.
I can definitely agree with that too. I think most of us, we don't really get workup or anything until we are trying to have children. Because if
Mhm.
you go to your doctor and you're not trying to conceive and you say, hey, I have painful periods, they're going to just tell you, well, you just need to get on birth control.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see. I wasn't. But see, I've never complained. I've never complained about a cycle, because I always thought, like, because I have been dealing with this for so long. So I always
Right.
thought, like, this is just what it is. Like, some women don't have heavy cycles and some women do. And I thought I was just one of those ones that just had heavy cycles like all the time. So it
Yeah.
never even tested.
If you complain enough, they'll just tell you that you just need to be put on birth control.
Mm.
I mean,
And
that's
that
really truly what that's what they'll do. They'll either say that, unless you just start to say, can they dig a little bit deeper, then they'll probably, some people have to push though to say, no, I don't want to get put on birth control. That's because one is a band aid. It's not really a solution. It's just a band aid to cover up things. But yeah, you have to fight sometimes to find out what's going on, to do ultrasounds. Um, that is,
yeah,
I
I
say
can
this
agree
all
with
the
that.
I tell people all the time, like, don't wait like me. I go to the, like, this, going to the doctor is not an issue. I go to the doctor. I go and get a pap because that's what I thought. That's what my mom told me. You go make sure you get your pap.
Mm-hmm.
Never did I have an actual ultrasound until I was trying to get pregnant, and I was in my 40s.
Really?
Yeah, like I mean, I never had anybody look at my ovaries. I just got a pap. Like, never had an ultrasound. Never had like to actually look in there and see what was going on to see if I had fibroids or, PCOS or endometrial. Nothing. I just had a pap. Pap came back normal. See you
Yep.
next year.
And see you on about your way. Yep, that is true.
And there's a
That is
difference
true.
between having a pap and them actually like doing a physical ultrasound and
Yes,
looking at your ovaries.
absolutely.
Those are two different things.
It's 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 a totally different thing. It's a
Right.
totally different thing. It's a totally different thing to have your fallopian tubes tested. Some
Exactly.
women, you wouldn't know about that until you're trying to conceive either. So
Right.
it makes a big difference. And like you said, you don't have draw awareness until you're in this situation right here to where like conceiving may be normal for another woman. You had to take a
Right.
totally different to get there. So yeah, okay, I agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't really look at you really don't get anything until it's time to have a baby. And then they go, "Oh, well, and like you said, let's do an HSG." And then you find out your tubes are blocked. Or you
Mm-hmm.
find out you have fibroids, you need to get a surgery. And
Yep.
I think that can skew or just take you into a whole different path because one, I'm a black woman. We supposed to have babies. Like we're not supposed to have these kind of problems, right?
At all.
We're not supposed to
That's
have
how
these
we
problems.
were raised, though. That's how we were raised. My family, like my family, my friends, nobody had heard of IVF until
Right.
I brought it to the forefront. We talked about it. Everybody was like, what's that? Or that's not gonna work. You know, this not gonna work. People do that all the time, and you waste all this money. You see, like I heard it all.
Yeah.
I had heard it all because, like you said, we black women, they don't expect us to have these kind of problems. But me going through fertility on this fertility journey, I met so many women, all ages, all colors, from all different walks of life with a lot of things that has not been normalized
Yeah.
are really going on within the women community when it comes to trying to conceive.
Or even the fact is, that even if you do have, like, if you tell people, "Oh, I have fibroids," "Oh, I have fibroids too. I got pregnant."
That was another. That was that was
Fibroids, girl. I have fibroids too. I still got pregnant.
that was another one. That was another one. Like, yeah, girl, I've been having fibroids for so long, honey. I got 5 children.
Yep.
Yep. That was one too. And it's like,
And what they
dog.
don't tell you is, yes, you can still have fibroids. So I have fibroids. Mostly a lot of women, okay, have
Mhm.
fibroids. But what they don't tell you is it depends on the location of your fibroids that you can still get pregnant. So some
That
people
is
have them, like she had them in the middle of her uterus. Well, yes, she could get pregnant. However, she may have miscarried because there is a fibroid in the middle of her uterus. There's
that
also
was my
that
doctor's
some that
biggest fear.
are intramural, which means they grow in the walls of the uterus.
Hmm.
Some women can
Hmm.
still get pregnant.
Hmm.
There are also some on the outside of your uterus. You can still potentially get pregnant, but when they're inside the uterus or in the walls, then yes, you will run
Everything,
into
everything
miscarriages.
comes to a standstill. Yep.
Right,
Everything comes to a standstill. And that is
right,
true. And she also said that too, like we wouldn't bother them if they wasn't a problem. But
right,
they're a problem.
right,
It's no way that for one I have the tube problem. So
right.
we can't bypass that. And for two, if we just go in and implant an embryo there, it may not it may not last. You may not
Right.
have a baby. And she was like, who wants to go through that? Who wants to go through that heartache and that being traumatized? Because I'm not gonna lie, it was a one of the most emotional experience that I've ever went through, like in my entire life, because
Right.
you don't know the outcome. You don't know the outcome. I met a lady, it was her fourth time. It was her fourth time going through the process of IVF.
Right.
And she was like 38 or 39. And every time that she did the transfer, it didn't work. And so I'm just like, you got to take a risk on something. That's how I looked at it.
Yeah.
It's either you're gonna take this chance and you're gonna try, or you just gonna sit back like what woulda coulda happened. So it's all a gamble. It's all a gamble. But to fast forward to, yes. So I had a successful transfer the first
Right.
time. But pregnancy wasn't easy either. My daughter was born 28 and 1.
Oh
Um
wow.
mhm. we
Now,
spent
did you have now sometimes people run into the issue of fibroids kind of growing back
no.
when no fibroids are growing back. They have sometimes that happens too during pregnancy. They're fighting with the baby's fighting with the fibroid.
Nope. Even still to this day, no fibroids. So we're good on that end. I developed severe preeclampsia.
Oh wow.
Day I was admitted into the hospital, my blood pressure was stroke level. So I
Oh
woke up
wow.
one morning, face swole, hands swole, eyes closed, feet swole, everything just so big. And I'm like, and I told him, I'm like, something's not right. Like something's not right. So we went to the emergency room. And by the grace of God, my doctor, my OB was on call that night. So she came in and she's like, I saw your name, and I'm like, this my patient. So I'm like, okay, she was like, well, we're keeping you, which I already had in my mind anyway. Like, okay, I'm not going home
Right.
today. I'm like, I'm not going home today. I already know that they're going to keep me for observation. So she was like, yeah, we're keeping you, but we're keeping you for 7 weeks. I'm like, what? I'm like, no, that's not legal. Like, is that legal? She was like, yeah. She was like, this is going to be your home for the next 7 weeks. And so I'm historical. Like, I
So
can't
you
do
thought he was
that,
gonna
girl.
be there for you thought he was gonna be there for 2 days.
I'm like, girl, I can't do that. Girl, my baby shower, my phone, I can't stay here. She was like,
Right.
she was like, you don't have a choice. She was like, severe preeclampsia. She was like, and I can't monitor you at home.
Right.
Considering how severe that this is, she was like, had I not came to the emergency room that day, I could have stroked out. Had
Right.
I just went on and just act like it was normal. And so I spent 2 weeks in the hospital. I spent 2 weeks in the hospital. The nurse came in one night and she put me on the heart monitor to hear my baby. And so she came back and she was like, she's being so stubborn tonight. Like, one minute her heart is so strong, and then she's just like up and down, up and down. So I'm like, okay. And so she was like, we just gonna stay on the monitor for the whole night. So I'm like, okay. So the morning they come in at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and they're like, she was she was not doing good overnight. Like she wasn't doing good. Her heart rate wasn't good. So they were like, we're gonna try not to have emergency C-section, but if it comes down to it, then you're gonna deliver your baby today. So I'm like, it's not time. I'm freaking out because I'm like, it's not time. Like we still got a long ways to go. Almost, 20 something weeks, we still have to go. Like it's not time. And so he was like, okay, I tell you what, we monitor you from 6 to 10 in the morning. And at 10, we will make the decision on what's going to take place. They walked back in at 10 a.m. And this time he brought everybody. So I knew something was wrong. I was like, dang, he got it's everybody in here. Everybody who was in the delivery room had came to the room. And he came back in and he was like, her heart rate continued to drop. So the best thing, she had a better chance of fighting outside the in. So we went into emergency. We went into emergency C-section at 28 weeks and one. They were like, now when she comes out, she may have to be on a like life support, basically. Like life support. So don't be alarmed, because most babies who are premature have to be on life support to help with their breathing. And so she was 1 pound 14 ounces. And we went in to do the emergency C-section. And before they could say baby out, all you could hear was a little kid and like, ooh, ooh, ooh. So we was like, well, we know that her lungs are good. So she ended up not needing the breathing machine. Like she did everything on her own. I was like, is that her crying? They was like, yeah, it's her. She sounded just like a little kitten, like, ooh. I was like, okay. So the doctor came in and she was like, well, she didn't need the breathing tube. Like she's breathing on her own, so she's good. She really didn't she really didn't have no major issues. We didn't have any major issues. The only issue that we had is that her and the placenta wasn't growing together. So she had a better chance out, fighting out the in, and she's doing amazing now. She's doing amazing. We are 11 months, about to be one. We're about to be one
Oh
next
my
month.
goodness. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
we're about to be one next month, and she's doing amazing. You wouldn't even know that she was pretty much. I mean, because she's so tiny now, so you would
Yeah.
know. She's so little, but by her movement and the things that she do, you wouldn't even know that we were premature. No.
And you see a lot of times, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And you see and you tell people, yeah, she was premature 1 pound. You're like, 1 pound? Like, yeah, she was 1 pound. And
She's
I'm
little.
sure going through that, because how long did she stay in the NICU?
81 days.
81 days, which can
81
be
days.
hard. And how did that affect you? Just not only because you're going through postpartum,
Hmm.
um, and you know, if you never had a child in NICU, they keep you and they keep the baby and they kick you out. So how was it
And you know what? I think
as
I
a new
thank God
mom
that
going through IVF to get your baby, and then you have to go back and forth to the hospital? How did that take a toll on you mentally?
I suffered severe postpartum depression. Like so when I say that people don't think that postpartum depression is like a real thing, it's in real time. Like some days I didn't know if I was coming or going. And now when I look back, the NICU, she had some of the most amazing. We had
Right.
some of the most amazing teams. Emory's delivery, labor and delivery, they were amazing. So we had some of the most amazing nurses, and you also get to build your own nurse team. So you get to choose like who works with your child every day. You can call as much as you like. You can stay as long as you like. I was there. Like I was there. I was eating, breathing, sleeping. The NICU. I would go to my car, sleep in my car, for a couple of minutes or an hour, and then I was back in the NICU. I never missed
Okay.
a day. But I suffered severe postpartum depression because, and don't get me wrong, my family and my friends, I have such an amazing village. Like I have, we are so close knit, but I still felt so alone. Like I felt like nobody understood. Like this was so unfair.
Right.
And I couldn't talk, and I just feel like I couldn't talk to anybody who had not been through what I had been through. So
Right.
I joined the NICU moms group at the hospital, and we kind of did good. But even when we got home, I suffered. I suffered a lot, and it wasn't that I suffered a lot. Like it was trying to get used to, like, I didn't want to fail her. Cause
Right.
mind you, I had never done this before. So I didn't want to fail her as a mom. So we were here. Well, I'm still here. I haven't been back to work in a year. Come next Thursday, I've been off work for a year. So I've been with
Okay.
her the entire year. I've been with her, but I didn't want to fail her. So I just felt like I just took the most serious precautions. Like we spent Christmas alone. We spent New Year's alone. Like we spent almost the whole entire winter alone because I didn't want to I didn't want to leave her. So I
Right.
suffer with postpartum depression. I suffer with postpartum separation anxiety because she's been all I know for this entire year. It's just been like me and her, me and her. So, and I'm still dealing with the separation anxiety portion of it. I am still dealing with that. It's a real thing. And I tell, and no matter how many times people told me, women told me, like, you just had a baby, you got to give yourself grace, you got to take it easy on yourself. I was just like, you don't know what to do.
I
You don't
mean,
know
it's
what.
I think it's perfectly normal because just the route that you took. I mean, postpartum, like you said, is such a real thing. But when you add your whole entire journey on top of the postpartum depression, I think it wouldn't have been any better, but I think there would have been a slight little difference if you just naturally got pregnant and um she coming early. But it's like it's on top of that because again, you went from having fibroid surgery to finding out you needed IVF to, like you said, taking a bunch of shots. You're on hormones. You get pregnant, so you're on natural hormones now.
Mhm.
You know, um, you get to
And you
28
start
weeks, and
questioning
again,
yourself too. You have mommy guilt because
right,
I went through a phase when she was in the NICU. I went through a phase like, was it something that I could have done different? Like, is
right,
it anything that I could have done? And when I mean mommy guilt, like no matter how many times I heard there was nothing that you could have done different, I
right,
still felt like I was the reason that she was there. And I
right,
carried that with me the entire 81 days. I carried that part of guilt with me. Like, I'm the reason that she's here having to go through all of this right now. And when I tell you that that's an emotion just within itself, like you can't even describe it. I couldn't even put into words. Like if someone asked me, like, what did that feel like? I couldn't even tell you. I just know that I cried so many days because I felt like, man, what did I do wrong for her to be here in this situation? And it's also of having a baby and then you going home with no baby. So then
right,
I'm coming to this house with all this baby stuff. I got everything but her.
right.
It was beyond depressing. It was beyond depressing. Like I just some days I would
Too
just sit in
having
her.
to, because did you try to pump? Because that makes breastfeeding or trying to breastfeed even harder because you have to pump
Mhm.
and there's
Mhm.
no baby
Mhm.
because it's supposed to work hand in hand. The baby is supposed to help you with your milk production because your body is supposed to hear those things. So did you struggle with trying to produce milk?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I and one thing they taught me in the NICU was like, breast milk was gonna be the easiest way to get her home with me.
Right.
So that's so much pressure within itself. And
Right.
then I was producing milk, but I wasn't producing enough. So as she
Right.
was growing, my milk wasn't increasing. So now I'm
Right.
trying to figure out. I'm taking everything. I'm researching. I'm YouTubing, just trying to figure out ways to grow milk so that I could provide milk for her, so that she could come on. So when I couldn't produce enough milk, then we had to go to she had to take donor milk. She probably took donor milk for like a week, and then we moved to formula. So yes, breastfeeding it didn't I wasn't good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. My milk
Well, I
supply
mean,
was
it's not your fault. I mean, it's just, her being away doesn't help. You know, you trying to breastfeed, and breastfeeding itself. A lot of people are overproducers, and then there's some that don't produce any milk at all.
yeah.
So you have to understand that there's different types of breastfeeding. And I hear all the time, you feel like you're a failure, when your child has to take donor milk, and it's like, you should not consider yourself a failure. It's just like, we're just making sure the baby gets fed. But you
Hmm.
have, like you said, you carry so much guilt about the things that we can't do. Um and you're right. You feel like, you even have those thoughts that, it was I even supposed to be a mom, you know, if I can't do
Exactly.
those things. Yeah.
So and then you already have guilt because you're going through IVF. So then you're not producing a
Right.
baby. You're not producing a baby that the way that society say that it's supposed to happen. So on top
Right.
of that, you have that guilt, and then you have the baby, and then she comes early, and it's all these emotions that you're going through. So yeah, I mean, people ask me all the time, and I'm so truthful with them. Like, pregnancy was not easy for me. It was not like a walk in the park. It wasn't an easy journey. It wasn't an
Right.
easy journey for me. So it's not that I say, oh, well, I want to have multiple kids so that now I can be. No, no, I, I'm. It wasn't a good feeling. So she probably will be the only, unless God Himself says otherwise. But she probably will be the only kid, because I don't look forward to.
Right.
And I have 4 eggs left now. I have 4 eggs left now in down in the storage unit. And next year is my year to figure out what I want to do with those embryos.
So there's three things that you can do. Your options are to discard, meaning that they will get rid of
Hmm.
them. Your option number two is you can donate them to science, which means that, you know, our good embryologists need something to work on. So they will actually work on those embryos, try to do genetic testing, so they don't play with the real embryos. So that's
Right.
always an option.
Hmm.
And then your third option is to donate them to another mother who, or another woman who is trying to be a mom. Because, like you said in the beginning of your interview, you know, you just hit the holy grail, okay? So a lot of us find out that it costs $30,000, and then we go check our insurance, and yeah, you got to pay $30,000 because our company does not pay for
Absolutely.
IVF. So
Ab-
the most expensive part, when it comes to IVF, is creating the embryos. That is what's going to be the sticker tag. So essentially, you remove that price tag from a potential couple or mom, or single mom by choice. So now they really only have to do is pay for the transfer. Well, they'll pay for a little other things. They'll pay for the contract between you and them. They
Mhm.
would pay for the contract to transfer the embryos from their clinic to from your clinic to their clinic. and then
Okay.
they'll pay for the transfer. So we're talking about maybe under 10K versus 30K.
That will take away from my mom. It would take away
Yeah,
10K.
it
Okay.
would take away 20. It would take away 20K. And if she has insurance, you know, that's really really cheap then, because all she's really just paying for is, because most insurances are not going to pay for the contract between you two, and it's not going to pay for transportation fees. But if they have progeny, progeny will even transfer them from your clinic to their clinic for free.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you take
Progeny,
away.
Progeny was amazing.
Oh yeah,
Cause when I got that bill,
Prodigy pay for my donor eggs. Prodigy pay for my donor eggs. Okay, so
when I
you ain't got
got
to
that
tell me.
bill, I was like,
Yeah,
oh my God.
yeah.
I'm like, the medicine alone
Oh,
was
I know.
almost like $2,000. Just alone in medicine. And I'm like, this is a lot of money.
You actually looked up because Delta did not have progeny. I think they added
Mhm.
progeny either
In 2021
2022 or
or
2023.
2022. Yep,
Yep.
one of those. One of those. They had just
Yeah,
announced.
they had just did it.
Yep. That and you know, one of my coworkers, we were really close and we was talking and I was like, have you ever dealt with progeny? And she was like, no, what's that? And I'm like, that's crazy. See, you don't even know that we have those, we have that resource because again, most women aren't having these issues, especially with trying to conceive through IVF. So she was like, no, what's that? I was like, they're gonna pay to help me, conceive and have a baby. And so I was very I was very fortunate and I was very blessed with progeny. And I was very blessed,
Right.
with my job. I've been on my job for 10 years. So it's been a long time. So I was very thankful for me even to have to go through that without the hassle of like thinking about insurance. That made me happy too. Because that could be a lot
Oh
on
yeah.
top of that, you trying to, I'm always in the live and I listen to like a lot of women who are talking and who's speaking, and I listen to women say that some women spend their life savings
People take out second mortgages.
on their
They do
homes.
second mortgages. They do loans. They do a lot of things. So I don't advocate for that. I say, there are just too many employers out here now that will
Mhm,
pay for IVF. I'm like, you're either going to sacrifice your time or you're going to sacrifice your money in order to
mhm,
do it. So I say, if at all possible, and you'll see a lot of women say too, they're like, oh, well, can my husband do it? Can my partner do it? I'm like, yeah, they can. It's just your insurance is going to be more if you have them do it, because they have to add you onto their insurance. So now you go from a place where your insurance out of pocket could be anywhere between like $100 and maybe 150 to now it may
mhm.
be 3 or 4 because they have to pick you up. So
Yep.
I always say, if you can do it, you do it. Go to Starbucks, go to Walmart, go to Target. Like a lot of those people, a lot of those employers would pay for you to have insurance part time, and then you can pay for
Really?
your
Progeny?
mm, progeny is at Target
Mm. Um,
and
was it?
T-Mobile. You can work part time at T-Mobile. Now look, they don't ruin that. But you could work at Tractor Supply. They don't ruin that. Uh, and you could have, yeah, they were working like 10. They were working like 15 hours a week. Tractor Supply had progeny. Well, they still have progeny. You have to be there a year. But Tractor Supply, you could work 15 hours and you got benefits. Amazon. It's a lot of Amazon babies, girl. It's a lot of Amazon babies.
I can only imagine. I can only imagine.
Yeah,
And
Amazon was the
people got to
goat
go.
for 4 or 5 years. Amazon recently changed their benefits too. They actually moved to Maven, but and so they're not liking it as much. It still pays for it, but yeah, day one off the bat, you can go work at Amazon. Man, they was working at Amazon about a week or two later because that insurance was activated. They was in that clinic.
Getting those
Yep.
babies.
Uh-huh.
Wow. And Amazon ain't hard to get on either.
No, you don't even have to talk to anybody. You just go in there and you just go online, fill out the paperwork, like the thing. They put you in a slot. You go to don't ask me how I know.
What
Then
percent?
you and then and then you then you then you go in there and you give your ID, everything. You go for your login day. You start. You don't even talk to anybody. It's all that was the easiest route to do
And,
it. But you can
and
go
you
to
gotta do what you
Target.
gotta
Target,
do.
it's seasonal time too, so that's why I tell them all the time. I'm like, it's seasonal time.
Hmm.
Wayfair is a couple of Wayfair babies out there.
Yeah.
Um,
I seen that a lot. I seen a lot of Wayfair
yeah,
girls.
Wayfair babies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but in
Right.
Wayfair is a little
I
bit
seen a lot
harder to
of
get on. That's what I said. Amazon was the easiest because you didn't have to interview or anything. You just if there was a warehouse position open, you clicked on it, you applied, you got an email 30 minutes later, you went there, you did your pre-appointment, and then you just started. So that was the easiest route. But now they make you wait. I think you have to wait a little bit now to get fertility benefits with them.
because
But
they
yeah, they
catching
made
on,
that.
huh?
Well, one person tell one person, and then the next person tell the
And
next
then,
person.
because
You
one
know,
person
you know
tell a
how
friend,
that is.
yeah, absolutely. But you know what? In this society today, you have to be like that
Yeah,
because I feel like that is so that is expensive.
it
That's like
is.
almost buying a new car or even more.
When they
Yeah.
told me I needed donor eggs, and my company said they didn't pay for it, and when I looked at the price tag of how much it was a donor eggs, I was like,
How much we talking?
let's see. It depends on where you go. So listen, I haven't done this in so long.
Hmm.
But I went to everywhere. I mean, I had a list of places. So Shady Grove was the most economical at the time when I was looking because they had 3 packages. So you had one where you got the donor to yourself, then two, the second package was you could split your donor with
Hmm.
another couple, and then there was a three-way option where all three of y'all could use the same one, and then they would split the eggs like that. So that's originally what I was gonna do, because I am from Atlanta too.
Okay.
So I was gonna go to Shady Grove, and then in the middle of doing all of this, I started
Hmm.
a Facebook group for women who were using donor eggs because I was like you, just kind of like going from community to community, just trying to figure out um how the people were paying for this and all this kind of stuff. So I have created a group. We had started meeting, and in the middle of the process, we were just talking. Um, and I was like, we had just got Progeny, and so I was
Okay.
going to use Progeny to go to Shady Grove, and it was still going to cost $20,000. And they're like, how do you have insurance? How you have insurance? And that was splitting a donor 3 ways. It's like, you have insurance. Like, that just feels like that's too much. And I was like, it feels like it's too much, but I don't know what else to do. Then one of the
Right.
girls was like, you need to go to Utah Fertility Center. And I was like, what? She was like, yeah, go to Utah. And coming to find out, they were way cheaper.
Okay.
I only had to pay, and this is how good God works. Now, I mean, like, I still spent a lot. Don't get me wrong, I still spent a lot. But at the time, we didn't have Progeny.
Okay.
So I had started filling out scholarships for fertility grants.
Wow.
I got a $5,000 fertility grant, which paid for my donor, and then a week later got a job with progeny, because that was a stipulation. You couldn't have fertility benefits at the time when I did it. We did not. So I got the grant. The grant actually paid for the fee because progeny doesn't pay for your donor fee. So they
Yep.
paid for the donor fee, and so I got that. And then I think with the deductible and everything, I think it was like $2,000 to create. So yeah, originally to create the embryos, it cost like $2,000. But it depends on if you go through an agency, if you go through the clinic. The clinic is always going to be cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it depends on clinic, because even like I think Shady Grove is like $20,000, but it can be up to $50,000 just to get the
Do you
donor.
have to be put on a waiting list for like donor? Are you like do you have to be put on a waiting list, or is it like you pay the money and you get the eggs?
So it's a
The embryo.
database. So most clinics, agencies, they all have a database that you can look
Okay.
at. You'll see her profile. You'll see baby pictures a lot. Depends on what. Again, that's clinic dependent. Some of them don't even show you pictures, but most clinics will show you pictures. They'll also show you baby photos. You'll get a whole profile. So I have a whole profile of who she is, her age at the time she donated her eggs, um, any kind
Now
of
that is
issue.
how do you choose like in your heart, how do you know who's right? Who's the right pick for you? Like what do you look for?
Um, so that is a personal decision that people do. So I can only tell you from my experience. So for me, I wanted her to be, well, one, you're gonna find out that finding a woman of color is difficult, especially when I was looking, because I was right in the slap that of the pandemic. So donors were like going like left and right, like left and right, left and right. Like you would, their database was getting smaller because they weren't bringing them in for retrievals.
Mm,
Um, and so
okay.
now it's picked back up. You can find more women of color, but at the time
Okay.
it was hard to find. Um, so I didn't care about that. A lot of people do care about that. So I just want her to be a woman of color. Cause
Okay.
and the reason I say that is because half the time people don't think I'm black or fully black. They think I'm mixed with.
So,
They're like, what do you every like my whole life I've been asked, what do you mix with? And I'm
mm-hmm.
like, what do you mean? What do I mix with? It's like, well, you have nice hair, it's long, like I. And I'm like, the last time I checked,
I was
my
black.
mama was black, my daddy was black. I mean, I keep
Which
asking them, they keep saying the
that's
same
it.
thing. So, uh, so for me, it didn't matter. That
Oh,
didn't matter to me because I've been asked what I mixed with either. So,
okay.
and I know that black come in all different kind of shades. So for me, it didn't matter as long as she
Absolutely.
was of color. So my donor is she's had I actually have it's a long story. I have two donors, but um, both of them are mixed. One is half black, half Puerto Rican, and then the other one
Okay.
is she's from Barbados, and then she's half white. Um, so one, you're gonna run into the issue of finding a full African American. That's one. So that a lot of women struggle with that, trying to find that
Yeah.
part. The other part is just and that's what I try to help them to navigate. They try to find a twin, and I'm like, well, you can't find your twin, honey, because you didn't have a twin. You are it.
Right.
They broke the mold, so there is no twin. You
Yeah.
know, and
There is
having
no,
people
yeah.
understand that they don't, even if you found someone who looked exactly like you, does not mean that that baby's gonna look like you. Like, even if it can't,
Absolutely
like your
not.
baby, like, did your
Absolutely
baby like
not.
your baby may have features of you, but that may not be your twin, you know?
She's nowhere near my twin. I have
Right,
a I have a sister that's younger than me.
right,
She's her twin. She's her twin. She's nowhere near my twin. Like I'm like, okay.
right.
Um, I carried her, but she's not my twin. No, no. She
No.
looks nothing like me.
So that's the
Nope.
things I got to try to get out of their minds because a lot of people, they'll be like, oh, I want her to be, I'm tall, so I want a tall donor. And like, that still could not guarantee. So I try to help them understand that physical features
Right.
don't guarantee that. You know, find things, other things. Maybe she played the violin, you play the violin, or maybe she wants to be a nurse and you're a nurse. Like, try to find like commonalities. For me, when I looked at her, you know, when I looked at her, I said, I just loved her smile. Like, she just seemed like she
Okay.
just had like a bubbly personality. Um, she just seemed through pictures she seemed sweet. um my
Okay.
clinic my clinic also loves her. And you know, when I picked her, they said, oh, we she had already donated before, and they said, oh, we love her. She takes this seriously, meaning that for me, I wanted somebody who was going to understand that this was not for fun, that this was a job, and they were going
Yeah.
to take the medication like they were supposed to. They were going to show up for the appointments like they were supposed to. We weren't going to have to sit there and push them and, hey, did you get your blood work? Or, you know,
Right.
I wanted somebody who was like, who was going to be on the P's and Q's. And for my I actually had two really good donors that really showed up and did what they were supposed to do.
Okay.
So, um, but I take that credit to my clinic. My clinic is definitely like on it when it comes to stuff like that. But
Okay.
everybody does what they feel is right. And we have women who struggle with that. Of They don't know what they should do. And what I just say is, donor eggs will always be there. You know, you don't have to go straight to that. Go in your own time. And you'll
Go.
know when you're ready. So there's a couple women who like, oh, I don't know. You know, we had D on here who I had to fight with um, to even go. I was like, girl, if you don't go get this insurance and go get this baby, she was like, oh, you know, I'm gonna go do this PRP. I'm like, okay, you're gonna PRP and waste your money, but go ahead and do your PRP, girl. I mean, and now you know she's pregnant with her son, but
Oh.
yeah, I mean, we have a lot of donor egg moms who
Oh.
every story is different about what they
It is.
do.
It is.
But it's just really all in your own time. But yeah, for the most part, you'll see a database with the pictures. You'll see their profile. Some even
Okay.
like reach out to the clinic. You can actually sometimes, depending on if they agree, because what the research is showing is that you know a lot of these women were anonymous. They didn't have a choice but to be anonymous. Some of them wanted to be contacted later on. With the world changing and things like that, a lot of they're letting them know that 23andMe, all of these things exist, and that maybe you didn't take it, but maybe there's a relative that took it or something like that, and now this child can maybe call around to see if you exist. So, you
Woo.
know, I mean, they can do that. I don't. I mean, didn't choose that route. I do see a lot of women do that, and I do kind of let them know like they were anonymous for a reason. You know, go through the proper channels. Sometimes it works out for some people. Sometimes it doesn't. We've had
Right.
women who have reached out to women via social media. It's turned out well. You know, we also have some times where the situation turned out well. I'm like, well, she was anonymous for a reason.
Right.
You open that up. Like, nobody told
Right.
you to do that.
Right.
Because now I have a deal with my clinic, um that she agreed that when any children that I have born at 18, that, she would talk to them then. But I'm like, you're asking a girl who's in her 20s to make a decision, and maybe she's in her 40s. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Exactly.
it's like,
Exactly.
you don't know. And I let them know. I'm like, you're asking people to make a decision on something that maybe at the time they didn't want to do. 20 years later, they don't mind. They
Right.
didn't mind 20 years ago, and now 20 years later, they mind. Like, this is so new. And I just tell them just to do the best you can. What it
So my
is. As
question
long
to
as your
you
child is
is,
loved.
when you do conceive, are you okay with the kids meeting your donor?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
I'm the mom, like, in every sense. The only thing that she gave me is tissue,
Hmm. That's it.
Um,
That's it.
so that's the only thing that she gave. She contributed to. She got a check, okay? She got a nice little check from me, all right. So,
Right.
I paid for them. They're mine.
Hmm.
And even with the
Absolutely.
losses and everything, I never thought like, oh, I miscarried the donors, you know, eggs. Like, no, it was me. Like, the losses were on me. Like, I felt bad. Like,
Yeah.
there's oftentimes like I forget that, that I even used donor. All I know is I have embryos.
Yeah.
Um, and a lot of the moms who have babies via donor, they all often forget their moms are thriving. Um, and then you'll hear the things like, I just saw donor egg mom. She's posted her baby, and I was like, I know she's a donor egg. I know she's a donor egg. And I was like, man,
Hmm.
she looks just like her. She looks just like her. She looks just like her mom. And I was like, I was gonna send a message.
Really?
I was like, that's your twin. Like, I don't care. Like, something, we need to go look it up, because that is your twin. Um, because she
The
looks,
baby that she had looks just like her.
yeah,
Really?
yeah, that happens a lot. That happens a lot. I mean, there are some, in the case that they don't, but um, in a lot of cases, there was a girl. She had her son,
Hey, girl.
and he was embryo, like the same situation. Like, somebody donated her the embryo.
Okay.
I could tell you right now, you can't tell me that's not her kid.
Mm.
That is her twin.
But
We
like you
had
said,
Indigo come on here, and everybody who was here, when she brought Justice on, they said she was lying.
oh, because she was a donor, because she was a donor, she had got a donor egg.
She got embryos. She didn't even know what the parents looked like.
Really?
She had no idea all she knew was that he was African American. That was
Okay.
it. That was all. That was it. And I remember when she had hers, she had him, and I looked and I was like, "We sure this not your baby?" She was like, "Girl, I ain't gonna even question it," because she was like, "I got a good deal."
I
When
got
I
what my
tell
money
you
paid
that is
for.
her mini me, when I tell you
What
that
my
little
money
boy is
paid
her mini,
for.
he looks just like her. He looks just like her.
Yeah. My money was well spent. What you say? I got my money paid for. Yeah,
When
that's a
she, I
good.
was telling, when she, and Justice is like 3. He's like 3 now. He's 3. But when he
Okay.
came on and she grabbed him, and like he was like hugging her and smiling and stuff, everybody who was here was like, "You lying?" And I was like, that baby has none of her DNA. But it's called like epigenetics. Is what is basically like an expression. So, you know what you do and what you eat, just like what you eat, especially like for milk production or anything like that.
Hmm.
So, you'll see babies that have like allergies or something. It's basically from
Hmm.
maybe you had dairy and the baby doesn't like dairy, so now like they develop allergies. So it's sort of like the same thing. Um, what we did, what we put in our bodies, all nurture that baby. So some of
Mm-hmm.
our genetics are expressed on them. So you'll see like some people who have freckles.
Absolutely.
Maybe the donor didn't have freckles, but now they have freckles because you have freckles. Birthmarks, you'll see that sometimes. Maybe the donor didn't have them, but you do. Um, so there's a lot of things that happen in utero, is what I like to say,
Yeah. Yeah.
that you influence.
And it's a lot of
And I
things
think
that
about it
can't.
like this all the time, and just think about your own life. Who are you influenced? You're influenced by your family members, but you're also influenced by your teachers, mentors at church. You're
True.
influenced by all of those people. So it's like you also have to remember that too is, your environment, their environment also influences them too, even in utero.
That's true. That's true. Your emotions, you
Yeah.
telling your emotions, your emotions, they feel everything. So
Yeah.
all of that does play a part. Yes, that does play a part. And like you said, it's your baby because you carried that baby, you carried that child, and eventually you're gonna give that baby love and care. So yeah, you do look at the same. I just never knew how donor eggs work. So that's why I asked because, like I said, I didn't know what IVF meant either, but I never knew how donor eggs work. I mean, only thing that was popular was adoption.
Yeah.
That's all you knew about was adoption. But
And I mean,
you
essentially, just what I'm doing is like I'm adopting, but it's like you still get the full experience that I may not have with adopting. Is I get to carry one. It was cheaper. Like, there's no way I can get an adoption for like $2,000. You know what I'm saying? Like,
absolutely not.
it costs anywhere between 80 grand to 100 grand, depending on where you go, in order to do adoption. And then I could foster adopt, but most of the time they want to get those children back to. They want to repurpose them and make sure they go back to where they are. I like things
Mhm.
too much to get away. I don't like to share. So, it's hard
Absolutely not.
to even wrap my brain around saying I'm going to take care of a child for 6, 12 months and then I got to give it back. It's not going to work for me.
Yes. That, I, 6 days wouldn't work for me. 6 days getting attached 6 days. That's not gonna work for me either. It's not. It's not
Especially
gonna
it's
work
like,
for
it's
me.
something maybe if I was already like a mom, and I don't even want to say that either. Like, maybe if and I was like, maybe if I already had children and I would be okay. But no, I'm not gonna be okay because now they're part of my day. They're part of a routine. I'm doing
Absolutely.
things, and
Absolutely.
now you tell me I gotta give it back. That's just not gonna work for me. And I mean,
Yeah.
I know foster moms. I know a lot of foster moms, and they do it. But they also tell you the same thing. Like, you need to go in the mindset that their purpose is for them to go back home. If you
What
get to
happened to
keep
your
them, that's
journey?
great. Did
She
you
said
do
that
a
happened to you.
maybe
What
adoption or
happened to your
foster to
journey?
adopt?
Mm.
Probably fostering.
Uh,
Probably
And
fostering.
had to get the baby back.
Probably so.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. 6 days. 6 days. Yeah. 6 days wouldn't work for me.
Yeah, she said
Cause
she had to give her baby back.
oh, from adoption.
Probably fostering. Fostering, they want to put them in a situation to help, but their goal is to get them back to the
The
parents.
parents.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, fostering. Yep, fostering.
And I mean, they tell you that too. And I mean, it's the same way too with adoption too. We've had moms who have, they call it's a different type of waiting situation because depending on the state, they the birth mom has the right to change their mind. And
Mm-hmm.
there have been situations where they've had to give the child back because the mom has changed
Hmm.
their mind.
And I
So
learned about that. I learned about that that system. I learned that one. with progeny, because we went over all of those things. So with progeny,
Yeah.
you had to fund your money first for adoption. You had to pay for adoption first. And
Yeah.
then it's a lot of other things that you pay for. And if the mom decided on that day that she gave birth that she didn't want that baby, you miss out on a lot of money because you paid for so many other things leading up to you paying for the adoption.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's taking yourself. Yeah. Yeah. So what?
And I don't condemn anybody that say whatever route you want to take is what you want to route, because we do have moms who have adopted. We have moms who done different types of route. Embryo adoption, surrogacy, whatever your route is, that's your route. I don't. That has to be a personal decision that you make,
Yeah.
because that is something that's going to, that whatever worked for you is what works for you. I just like to
Absolutely.
show and feature like your stories or anything like that, to say that there are so many different ways. Like there is not one single interview that I've done that your journey is exactly the same. Yes, maybe
We
they've
would
had
love to see the baby.
fibroids.
We
They
would
want to
love
see the
to see the
baby.
baby. Tiana. No problem.
Yeah, I
Let
mean,
me
but
see.
yeah, we've had fibroids, endometriosis, but
Hmm.
they've had fibroids and it's taken them 3 times, to
Yeah.
get their babies. You know,
And all
every
it takes
story is
is
unique.
a friend.
It's
Yep.
gonna be
Every
different, and
story.
no journey is the same. Um, but that's what the beauty of this is so that you can see something in your journey or something in my journey that says like I am not alone, you know,
Absolutely not.
in this whole thing, because you feel like you're on this island by yourself, like you
Mhm.
did. I felt like I was about to say nobody knew what IVF was. They looked at you like you had 3 heads. Like, what are you talking about?
Yes. Yes. And I'm not gonna lie. When we first had the consultation and they were talking, I mean, it was all so foreign to me too. So I'm like, and I'm not gonna lie, I had a little doubt in my mind, like, this not gonna work. Like,
uh,
this not gonna work. Here I am spending all this money, doing all of this, preparing my mind, doing this to my body. And I did have a little doubt, like that's why I said following other women's journey can be a gift and a curse, because it can put you in emotions that you've probably never channeled before. I was one day I'm here, one day I'm there. One day you go to the doctor and we're on the road, we doing good, and now I gotta have another surgery because you found another
right,
fibroid. So
right,
now we come to a standstill. We're here, we're stuck in this place right here, and I have to start from square one all over again to get into the finish line. So you go through a lot of emotions, and I try to tell people all the time, like, with IVF moms, with moms that are going through fertility, like, you have to give those women a lot of grace. You have to give those women, you have to sometimes I just wanted people just to shut up and listen. Don't say nothing. If I'm going on a rant or I'm going crazy, you don't know what I'm feeling today, don't say nothing, because you could never channel your emotions to where I am right now, because you don't you say you understand, but you don't really know what I'm going through. You don't know.
I mean, it's like you said. I mean, they have no idea. Like, you woke up that morning, you took injections, then you had to go to work. Like, you're sitting, like, I understand, y'all. She's sitting in the one. She said she's at the airport, so she's got to go to a public restroom. It's not even like just a regular like corporation job. She in there with like a bunch of people having to go to a bathroom,
You get stopped
and
through TSA so they can ask you, what
right,
are these needles for? What's this
right,
medication for? So
right.
yes, it's a lot. Like, Yes, I used to have to carry around my little, my little Ziploc bags, and I used to have to put ice in my lunchbox because, the Ghana you have to keep cold.
Refrigerator.
So yeah,
Right.
I'm get pulled over to the side, asking like, okay, well, what are these needles for? What's this, and do you have a prescription for this? Just because of the way things are going with today, so I carried a lot. It was a lot. I carried a lot. And I carried that. I can only imagine the women that had to carry it for 9 months. I only carried it for 6.
Right.
But I can only imagine the women that had to go through that, for 9 months. It was tough. It was tough. But
Yeah.
overall, I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change these little scars. This weight I've gained. I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it. If I knew that she would be the outcome, I would do it all over again.